So what's up, everybody? It's the hometown hero. My name is Nate. My drink is called the Velvet Howl, and it's featuring Iron Wolf's Hotscotch whiskey. So when I came up with the concept of the Velvet Howl, I was just practicing with the Hotscotch, which was really difficult. I've never tasted a bourbon or a whiskey that was quite as sweet, and I never tasted a whiskey or a bourbon that had a pepper finish at the end. So the way that the flavor was separated from sweet at the front and then the pepper in the back really kind of like put me in a spot where I didn't know which one I wanted to kind of highlight, right? I wanted to get away from the sweetness because it is an overly sweet bourbon, I feel like, at least in my palate. But then when I was thought about it, I was like, I think I should embrace the sweetness and use that as a flavoring component because butterscotch is very unique and fits in perfectly with espresso, right? So I work at the Hyatt right over here on the Lake Hyatt Regency Austin, and I'm one of the guys that's in charge of the bar menu over there, right? So I wanted to make something that I can implement for real life usage, for real life sales, something that I can prove the concept of, right? So I had made this drink called the Red Velvet Love for Valentine's Day using concepts that I used from this, right? So the foam, using a specific type of liquor was all something that we had to do for that task, you know? So something I want to touch on a little bit is that I started off as a tiki bartender at the beginning, so I use a little bit of tiki influence in this cocktail with the black walnut bitters, the cinnamon, the orange, and the orgeat, and the almond orgeat there. So that came from a concept that I always thought about being called Texas Tiki, and I define that as using Texas-based spirits, adding a tiki flavor to that. So that was kind of a concept that I used to influence this drink here. And as you guys can see, it looks really nice, really sweet drink. It's based to be a dessert-style cocktail because we didn't have a dessert-style cocktail on our menu, and that is also something I played with during Valentine's Day. So the building technique, right? This is something that I wanted to be replicatable, right? I wanted my bar team to be able to make this out of volume so we could push it out at a high pace when our bar is full, 30 seats down, 2 people, back, right? So it's a simple build being that we add our whiskey, our almond orgeat, our Cafe de Yola espresso, and our bitters, right? So Cafe de Yola is a Spanish-style espresso that is made by steeping fresh espresso with orange peels, cinnamon sticks, and clove. So that's going to give the espresso such a body that complements that butterscotch whiskey in a way where the whiskey is pretty much the sweetener for the espresso, if that makes sense. And then we finish it off with a cold foam on top. Now that cold foam was made out of half and half, heavy cream, pistachio syrup, and vanilla syrup. Now, that's where the name kind of plays in, is with the foam layer, right? The Velvet Howl. Velvet is supposed to simulate the foam layer that you're going to taste when you feel that, right? This drink touches your senses in a way, so you're going to smell it, you're going to feel it, and you're going to see it. So yeah, y'all go ahead and take a sip of it. I like to tell people, and I told all of the people who were sampling the drink that this is a dessert-style cocktail where the whiskey is going to chase the foam on here, right? So you're going to smell the pistachio, get a lot of those nutty flavors, and then you're going to taste the foam first. That's going to be the sweetness up front, just like with the bourbon, right? And then you're going to get all of the flavors from the whiskey as you sit past that first foam layer, the Velvet Howl. My logic of using this specific whiskey in this cocktail specifically is the fact that it was a butterscotch-based whiskey, right? So I was looking at my bar Bible that my bar manager blessed us with, just doing some research on how I can work with this because it stumped me. This drink really did stump me. So I was looking in there, said butterscotch matches perfectly with coffee. It's like one of the recommended pairs. So I said, let me play around with this a little bit. The Cafe de Yola is something that we use in-house already. It's something that we make. It's something that I can teach my barbacks to make. Something that any of the bartenders can make on their own, even if the barbacks aren't there, right? So again, you're supposed to replicate this. I see you just tasted the foam by itself. That's going to help you understand the flavor profile a whole lot more. So I want to talk about Iron Wolf as the whiskey in itself. I think being able to create something like this and then having an event like this is huge because I personally didn't know about the Iron Wolf Distillery before John introduced it to me as our sponsor, right? But then I've been able to tell so many more people about it, and I think that's one of the biggest parts of this event is the promotion and the community aspect of what you're able to do. So the Howl, right, kind of like a wolf pack. You can drink this with your wolf pack, right? Also, the wolves howl at night. This could be a perfect drink to start your night after dinner. Maybe you want to have a night out but you know, maybe you don't want to eat a dessert, but you'll rather drink your dessert. Maybe you don't want to drink a Red Bull, but you'll drink espresso, right? So this could be the perfect after dinner drink if you plan on having a night out. That Velvet Howl, right? You're with your wolf pack, and you guys are waking up and you guys are roaming the night. So yeah, just to talk about the flavor profile all in all, I added those bitters in there just to balance out the sweetness a bit, dampen that sweet butterscotch notes. I feel like the chocolate and the black walnut bitters does a great job of getting the tiki aspect and also balancing the flavors out to a point where you feel like you're drinking a complete experience, right? This is supposed to be an indulgence. This is supposed to be, you know, a dessert. It's supposed to be something that you can, you know, drink after dinner. It's supposed to be something you can get at a bar, you know, something that can really be implemented into real life usage. And here are just some pictures of the city night, you know, that kind of support my point. You know, drink this before your night, get your energy, have an indulgence, feel good about your dessert, and then, you know, enjoy the rest of your night. You know, sit by the fire, get a city view, stand by the lake, and this is a perfect drink to have that moment. So, hey, that's the Velvet Howl.
I'll make some noise for Nay, baby! Representing Austin, Texas. Now, just like before, we do want to open up the dialogue on, you know, all of the, you know, some questions and kind of the vision of where you got this from. So go ahead and start it off.
So Nate, looking at the build, is the only spicy element in here going to be from the bourbon itself?
Yes. So that's going to be the spicy element. I didn't want to lean too much into the spice because I really wanted to highlight the espresso, the flavor. Now, I didn't practice putting spice into the espresso because I thought it really would throw it off. I played around with a couple of different flavor combinations, but I really wanted the pepper to kind of just be a back-end thing. I didn't really want the pepper to be something that was too prominent to cover up all the flavors. I really wanted that butterscotch to complement the Cafe de Yola espresso.
Nate, how do you make the pistachio? How do you make that the pistachio component?
So the cold foam, so the cold foam is going to be made using half and half heavy cream, pistachio syrup, and vanilla syrup.
How do you make the pistachio syrup? Sorry, that was
pistachio syrup. So that you just heat up some pistachios. I toast them in a skillet first, and then just simple syrup, simple syrup essentially. Then I roast them in there
with the pistachio. Cool. Have you tried actually, instead of shaking the coffee, just stirring the liquid and then just pouring the cream on top?
So stirring with espresso, I always known it doesn't give you the same foam layer that I really wanted to mesh in.
That's the thing. Do you need the foam from the coffee since you already have cream on top? You know, that would be kind of the thing. I don't know if you need the foam. If you need the foam of the coffee since you're already putting a layer, like you want that layer of cream to shine. You know, like to look, you know, clean.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was doing that and thinking about a way to kind of hold the foam on top, I needed to shake it because that foam that comes from the natural espresso kind of creates like a barrier where the cold foam doesn't sink into the drink.
Okay.
So that's actually literally exactly why I did a shaken style cocktail.
Okay.
Is because it protects it from falling in.
So you say you're inspired by like Tiki Tex and using Tiki flavor. Do you have a Tiki background?
So my very first bar that I ever worked was the Tiki bar, right? So this is dating back to when I lived in Pennsylvania. The very first bar was the Tiki bar, and I just wanted to pull my beginning, you know, just kind of my story into this cocktail as well, because I feel like that's always a good thing, to add some personality into your drink. So I just wanted to kind of pay homage to my younger self when I didn't know I would still be bartending up to this point. I never knew if I would be doing competitions, right? So I just wanted to pay homage to my past self looking into the future.
Very cool. And following up a little bit on what Jesus mentioned, do you thought about doing the foam on a siphon or just on a whipper, on a cream whipper?
Yeah, so how did I make it? Yeah, I use a frother, right? I use a frother.
No, I thought if you thought about that option, or do you purposely want it to be more creamy?
I wanted it to be more creamy, yeah. I wanted that cream to be there.
Okay, sweet, thank you.
I wanted it to kind of be like I said, a dessert style cocktail that was also espresso based. So almost like a latte in a way, where you have that foam that flavors, your actual coffee blend.
Got it.
Espresso martini riff.
Thank you, sir.
All good? I always love myself a good coffee drink. This one is good. I like that you explained that it's intentionally supposed to be a little sweet. It's a dessert cocktail. I think you said one is the responsible decision. This isn't something by intent that you would want somebody to drink 2 or 3 of. So I like that you made a point to say that. I have not had a lot of bourbon-based or whiskey-based tiki drinks. I used to live next to a tiki bar, so I've had a lot of them. I've had a Rai Tai. This is definitely different than any kind of whiskey tiki drink that I've had, but in its uniqueness, I think that's what helps it stand out.
Yeah, it pulls that influence with the cinnamon, the clove, the orange, the black walnut bitters.
Orgeat, yeah.
The orgeat, the pistachio, like the nuts, that the nutty notes, the flavor, how it all kind of comes together with the tiki influence.
Yeah, I think bringing the naughtiness to like balance the sweet and the spice is brilliant.
Yeah. It took me a while to kind of find that perfect balance of like which type of like nuts do I want to use to kind of create that balance, right?
Good job, man.
So.
Great drink. Good job, man.
Thank you.